You're listening to a Meldo Entertainment original podcast. On today's episode of the Ably Diverse Chronicles, we chat to Chike Coleman. He is an Ably Diverse film critic with Cerebral Palsy. We chat everything movies, access, and a whole lot more, so please join us right now. Can we start, gentlemen?
Yes.
Of course we can.
Well, we'd already started.
Welcome to the show, Chike. Lovely to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is a dream come true. I mean, you're offering me a doorway to roll through. I might as well take it. So basically, you're saying that I have the chance to give people insight into what it's like being physically challenged and having a severe medical condition, and the people that I've inspired can also be a subject of the story I tell.
Even people that don't even know you can then be inspired from you as well. Where I want to start is, whereabouts are you based?
Oh, I'm in Illinois, which is in the United States. It's the Midwest. There's lots of corn and wheat and soybeans and farmers
Nice.
and a university that was once named the #1 unofficial party school in America several years back. So it's your typical college town in the US.
Where do you fall under that umbrella of Ably Diverse, if you like?
I mean, to basically start this off, my idea of being ably diverse is you have a challenge, but you use those challenges to your advantage to build a better quality of life for yourself or those around you. So in my instance, it's cerebral palsy and a rare immune deficiency. And, using that form of challenge to become the greatest strength I have, because it just makes me challenge myself more, value life more, that sort of a thing.
Yeah, that's great. And I use the term Ably Diverse, but what term would you particularly use? Because there's so many out there.
Oh, that is a tough question, Mel. I don't know what I would say other than able-bodied and adaptable.
I love that. I love
that.
That is actually really good.
Because people think just because you're in a wheelchair you can't walk, run, dance, and that's not true. You have to actually spend time with that person to know what they're physically capable of.
Absolutely.
And how they can adapt to the world around them. So
yeah, and I've seen that a lot when you go out with Mel. You go through and different people have preconceived ideas. It's very annoying, and it must be hard as fuck on you guys.
I was on Christmas vacation in Florida, and this is a slightly funny story. They took me to a New Year's Eve party, but it was filled with people who were retirees over 65. So they were playing music from Greece and John Denver, and then all of a sudden you'd randomly hear Ed Sheeran for no reason.
Oh, you got to add a bit of Sheeran in there, really. It's not a party without Ed Sheeran.
I mean, yeah, but nobody was close to my age, and I'm not gonna sit there and dance with my parents. I'm just I can't wait till this is over. And let me add one more small thing. It was a masquerade New Year's Eve party. So not only was I having to wheel around these people that I didn't know, I had to do it half blinded and damn masked.
But you've got to find ways of getting around situations like that. Otherwise, you're going to feel really, really awkward.
We were the only African American family in the entire New Year's Eve party. During the entire night, no one really came up to us or approached us in any way. Wow. And so it was kind of okay, I had until that point, in my 37 years of living, I had never truly felt like the other. Very, disappointing that, you see a family with a physically challenged adult and you don't reach out any sort of a hand of friendship. I think that's because social media has kind of made us so disconnected. In other ways, like this conversation, it's given us the gift of being able to talk halfway across the world, provided
Yeah.
we get the time right.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we are in 2024 now, and people need to wake up and realize that we all need friendship and we all need that connection with someone else. And we should have learnt that during lockdown, but clearly we haven't.
That definitely is a statement. And I don't know what in the world could change to bring not just the US together, but just everyone.
Everyone,
I'm so tired of, not to get too political here, but the
go for it.
bloodshed in different countries when it's
Mm.
just like, what happened to sitting down and talking?
Yeah, sorting it out.
And just getting on, yeah.
Money and people getting on though, I don't think. Well, they haven't.
Yeah,
They won't. They
that's
don't want it to go that way because there's no control of the money. More to the point.
yeah,
Plenty
that's
of
a
money
very
and
valid point.
friends, but the people can't control how
So
things
I
work.
guess I want to go on. So where did you grow up?
Oh, I moved here when I was 5, but previous to that, I lived in a place called East Lansing, and we moved here, after my dad got his PhD. He moved here specifically because he heard that this had the most accessible university in the world, and they'd been making leaps forward in terms of both advocating for disability and making things accessible for people who were physically challenged. When you have a physical disability and you're a child, you don't think about the fact that the physical disability is there, even though everyone else around you does. And for me as a little kid in a wheelchair, it was like, I'm just me. I'm just me.
Yeah,
And people were very, engaged with that because, of course, all children care about is you're in what looks like a car and you move faster than them.
totally.
Because all small kids care about is speed. So if you are in a power wheelchair and you're zooming as fast as you can down the hallway to get to the library or down one of those really steep ramps made of like concrete and you're going way faster than you should, kids are going to find that to be the most cool thing ever. Like, I just did normal classes, the only exception being, of course, every person in a wheelchair's least favorite 2 words, physical therapy, and that replaced every other child's least favorite 2 words, PE. Having that as part of my life, kind of grounded me and gave me, a bit of pause because it's like you're having to rewrite the history book on how people know how to do the things that they just do instantaneously through physical therapy and occupational therapy.
Hmm.
And you got to write your own rule book, otherwise you're screwed.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
as a child, both of those things are very hard to comprehend because all you want to do is just be a kid because everybody was just, helpful and kind. Because remember, this is at most 1994. So there is no internet. There is no social media to shame you if you do the dumb thing at school. It's just kids caring about other kids, sharing what they had for lunch with another kid, general kindness and acceptance, with the
Mm,
exception of things that people don't really understand at that time. Like when a kid comes into your class and has to prick himself because he has diabetes, and
mm,
then having to teach the class what that means. Or a kid with behavior problems, has outbursts in class that completely distract from the lesson. That
yeah.
could be a number of things. That could be ADHD. That could be anxiety disorder. That could be bipolar disorder. We wouldn't have known in 1994.
Yeah, they weren't really spoken about. And I guess it touches on what you were saying before, is that kids only see you as a kid, and the wheelchair is a bonus cool thing, whereas now it's, I don't know about you, but it's seen more as a barrier now than anything else because all these other things are spoken about and it freaks people out. So it's all like a complex situation rather than being just a person and then looking beyond that.
I definitely agree with that for sure.
How was college life?
I was very much a bookworm in college. I had very select people I hung out with because and I don't know if you guys have this in Australia. I went to a community college first. That and most of the people at that community college carried over to my actual 4-year university. So I had some linkages, but not many. In my first year, lived with my sister in an apartment. So she already had a set group of friends. Okay, this is a really bad analogy, but I'm going to go with it. I was like Quasimodo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I was there, but you wouldn't be able to find me because I was just barricaded in my room while my sister had wine drinking parties with her friends.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, not part of your
Wow.
group, so yeah, you just don't do it. Did you
Mhm.
have
Yeah,
much issues with like the accessibility of the buildings and that around where you were going to?
I mean, yeah, the buildings were all very accessible,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I didn't really have much trouble with that.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot better than Australia. Most of it, it's very limited accessibility.
Did you find that easy to go through with the lesser amount of friends to worry about and more focusing on your studies?
No, it still wasn't easy because, of course, in college you got different professors teaching different subjects, but the one thing that nobody ever really talks about is accommodations in the classroom. So I had to
Okay,
get
yeah.
all those squared away in
Uh-huh.
order to be, somewhat successful. It ranges from PDFs to audio tapes to, uh, you're gonna love this bit, carbon copy notebook paper.
Oh,
So that if one student takes notes, you
yeah,
get the white copy and they keep the yellow. In
yeah.
college, it was all about, choosing a student that was in the class that had decent handwriting, giving them the carbon copy notebook paper and saying, please take notes for me. And the more detailed you are, the easier I'll get the concepts we're talking about.
Right, so it was more like a buddy system more than having someone there to write for you.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, that would actually work better. I wish I had that when I was at school.
After my time living with my sister, I was forced to live in the dorm. That is an accessibility nightmare.
Yes, I'm just thinking about that as you're saying it, actually.
And when you're in the dorms and people are like trying to study or they have girlfriends and they're getting the hookup on, whatever the case may be, you're in a situation where, okay, everybody's got their own schedules, everybody's doing their own thing, and they don't give a crap about you. So that was hard because it's like, how am I going to get my studying done? Where do I go to have a quiet mental space so I can get this work done? My roommates don't really know me that well and really don't care to. They're all on their own schedules. Me making a home for myself in the undergrad library. If I knew nobody at that dorm place was going to care about me or was going to be curious about me, then it wasn't going to matter to me whether I was there or not. I really wanted to do well. I'm not saying I did do well. I'm just
Yeah.
saying I wanted to do well. And
Yeah.
that was enough motivation for me. And there was this one girl that I thought was the most beautiful human on the planet and just very kind and sweet. And she had a boyfriend, and I'm like, oh, I'm
Um,
glad I finally get to meet the boyfriend. And I'm like, after watching you two together, you guys are totally gonna get married. We'll see. And I'm like, well, all right, fine, say that, but it's gonna be you two for sure. Lo and behold, like a decade later, they're married. They've got multiple beautiful kids. I talk to them
aw.
every once in a while. And they're all good and happy and healthy and whatnot. But it's just good to know when, good connections are formed and, relationships are solid.
When you found work, where was that?
That was first at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign's communication office. as part of their facilities and services, which is basically the engineering arm of the college campus. Work in their communications department for 6 months initially, and then getting renewed for another 3 months after that, part-time at about $20 an hour.
And did you find that they were fairly accommodating and your colleagues were receptive towards you?
Absolutely. I mean, if they weren't, they wouldn't have kept me on for 3 more months and, tried to find me other work inside of the university system. It was really a godsend, and my mother's boss at the time, because she worked in the same building, um, gave me the job as a favor before he retired. I excelled there and really did my best work there as I possibly could. And then they offered me a different position after that, which I held for about a year and a half. My favorite highlight job wise, although I want to stress deeply that I love where I currently work. The first job highlight was I worked in childcare for YMCA for several years. Um, and that was truly a highlight because you're dealing with kids ages 6 weeks to 10 years old,
Yeah.
and you teach them not to be afraid of disability at random just by spending time with you. I did have a special connection with one kid, one out of all the ones that were always, no, technically two. One was this little girl, Elizabeth. She was like 1.5, and her mom did what all parents do when you're dropping them off at Child Watch, is she would just drop her in both, which would leave Elizabeth in a state of catastrophic sadness. And she just held on to my leg the whole day for 3 hours straight, just sniffing, crying.
Oh,
I
that's
gave her
cute.
my sleeve, and then after that, she would want to spend time with me. I was the only one that made her feel okay about where she was.
Yeah, made it
And then
secure.
we developed an adorable routine where when it was time for her to leave, I would leave Child Watch with her, and then I would zoom down to the end of the hall near the entrance, and I would let her run to me and give me one final hug before she left.
How did you navigate your personal life in that time?
Oh, I mean, scheduling is always the challenge because you got to figure out what your transportation is. For me, like that's the biggest hurdle, and matching your schedule with your friend's schedule, because
Yeah.
they'll say they want to do something at a certain time, but they may not make it till 10, 20 minutes after that, or they
Yeah.
may cancel entirely. Um, so my relationships with people heavily depended on one thing, their reliability. So I relied on people that I truly trusted that and had previous positive experiences with.
That's what I've seen with Mel. It's the reliability of people giving help. People say they're going to, and they basically shit on you or don't do it or cancel last minute.
Even not providing help, but as in normal friends.
No, that's the furthest thing from their mind because
Hmm.
remember what I told you at the beginning. The wheelchair doesn't exist until you make it exist. So they're not going to think about, oh, it's not going to be a problem if I cancel because he's fine. That brings me to a brief story. One of the things they installed here in my town in one of the local movie theaters was an IMAX. You know how a traditional theater is set up and how most of them do stadium seating where there is a wheelchair accessible spot at the front, maybe on the middle, and then to the far left.
Yeah.
Well, for IMAX seating, it's those same pillars, but when you sit there, I don't know if you have this problem, you realize, holy crud, I'm so close to the screen. This is not where I want to be. Yeah, I saw an IMAX was Star Trek Into Darkness, and I was like, I'm too close. I was like, well, the only way I'm going to get further away is if I climb up the stairs. It's like, well, nobody's here, so I might as well do it. And I climbed up like 3 different flights of stairs just to get to a spot that was like perfect eye level and far enough from the screen where it wouldn't cause eye strain.
Funny that you mentioned that the wheelchair space is always so close in theaters and stadiums, because we've already physically challenged and got a disability right of some kind. Not only that, but if we go to these events and try and be sociable, we end up eye strain, deaf, and other problems just because we've been down the front.
And there's one thing that we're not talking about in terms of movie theaters. How in the world are you supposed to hold the extra large bucket of popcorn and the Butterfinger minis and your drink to get to your seat?
Yeah, and you said you're gonna drive with the teeth. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
And nobody's really going to offer you help. You literally have to go to the movies with a friend. Otherwise, those occasional treats you like to give yourself are not going to happen.
And
Yeah.
for some reason, people get awkward and don't want to help someone so it makes it's a challenging situation, because
It
clearly
definitely is.
you're struggling to carry all those things, but people don't want to feel like they're overstepping the mark. People are often afraid to ask those things too.
I do that in the bathroom a lot though, where I'm using the bathroom and I'm doing it the normal way I'm doing it, and they're like, "Do you need help?" And I'm like, "No, if I made it in, I can make it out." Like,
Yeah.
Got that far.
okay.
What you should, if one day they're going to catch you in a really bad mood, and you should just say, "Yes, actually, I do. Can you hold my dick for me?" That'd be really good.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. I'd love that.
You can say, "Melinah Viking told me you can hold my dick."
Hilarious. I should use that as a part of stand-up if I ever do stand-up.
I've also spoken to you previously about your love of jazz clubs. So how do you go with accessibility with jazz clubs?
Jazz clubs are always tight. They're not meant for people in power chairs to navigate around, much less if you want to be a performer in a jazz club. Like, they'll accommodate you and move things around so you can get to the front of the stage so you can do your little bit, but none of that, and I mean none of that, is easy. But it doesn't detract from your enjoyment, usually because the
No.
music is so dang on good.
Yeah. With music, how did that come about?
When I was like, oh gosh, 7,
Yeah.
like my dad would come in and stretch me at 6 a.m. every morning. And the only thing that would really make me check out was like listening to Mozart or hearing Miles Davis for the first time. And or hearing Ella Fitzgerald sing. So that's really where it was born from. Like, those pieces of composition became my safe space.
So it kind of made you disassociate from the pain, and I found that as well. My go-to was Charles Aznavour. He's a French singer.
That particular artist in mind, you're like, I want things that are from that guy or sound like that guy.
And it makes you kind of escape from your challenges that you might be experiencing.
Right. And you got to remember that in addition to having the physical disability, I also had the immune deficiency. So I spent more time in the hospital during my grade school years than anybody probably should.
How did you pass the time in hospital?
Video games. Beat Mario, trying to beat Super Metroid, Super Nintendo, the Sega.
So how long were you in hospital for?
I've never quantified it, but I would say at least 3 months, maybe 6 months off and on. It took ages because our hospital system here in Illinois is an absolute pile of crap. So I had to, they did blood transfusions. They took blood tests every day. It got to a point where I had to have a home care nurse come take my blood every day. And, because I wasn't getting better.
When did that eventually stop?
1996, early 1997, my parents got a recommendation for me to go to Bethesda, Maryland, which is right outside of DC, and go to the National Institute of Health. They put me on some antibiotics, and it worked.
Sounds like it came from possibly a blood transfusion. Would I be correct in saying that?
Well, the blood transfusion happened in the early 90s before they had gotten that recommendation, because of course they had been taking so much blood from me that it was like we poked him 8 times and we can't get anything.
What a challenging time that would have been for you. Yeah, when that was over, when did you start dating and all
I
that?
did not date during college at all. People I liked existed in college. People I would love to have taken on dates existed in college. I just never had the guts to say, hey, I like you. Let's try and do something. People didn't find me alluring enough to be like, he's got a great personality. I was always basically the friend.
Eventually, when did that sort of change for you?
Okay, this is gonna be difficult to say, but it kind of hasn't. Like, yes, of course I've had relationships, obviously. But there's never been a high form of consistency except with my last major relationship.
Do you find that services like, I don't know, cam services really helpful for situations like that?
The best way I can describe cam sites when I eventually discovered what they were, I basically just treated these people, which were, let's be honest, just women who are often, naked on camera, as people that I wanted to be friends with, because every other person in that chat would have been like, oh my God, her boobs are so amazing. I can't wait till she has an orgasm. I've never been that guy. So for me to be the quote unquote normal one in the room was always refreshing to those people.
What I know about you, you're more emotionally attracted to somebody, is that correct?
I would say yes, that is a fair statement.
When you found that you were emotionally stimulated by people, did you find that easier to then be content with yourself?
I mean, I can't say that I wasn't always content because I really feel like I have been. Um, but I would say that my confidence in being able to have those deeper conversations grew from that experience.
Safety net. I always never had issue. Never had great confidence face to face.
I never struggled talking to people in general, but doing it through a camera and a keyboard was even easier than that because they're not caring about what you look like.
What matters is that you're holding a conversation with them and they are with you. That's a good
Yeah, and there is that interpersonal communication in the sense that if you're the only one that's talking normal to them, even if they decide they're not going to pay that much attention to you, the fact that you're bringing up interesting ideas and really caring about what they're struggling with as a person means that they'll remember you.
Yeah.
Well, I found that with you personally. I found the fact that when you've come into my room, whatever company I'm working for, you've always interacted really well. When without you, the room would have been really quiet on those days. So yeah, girl performers like myself really do appreciate when somebody can interact like you do. It's a great help. We're not just staring at a screen, shaking our ass hoping that someone will tip. We're actually getting involved and, having a sense of fulfillment for somebody as well.
Not only does it take tremendous courage to put yourself out there, but man, to put any piece of your story out there, whether you have to, you know, shield pieces of your story for, safety purposes or shield parts of your body because you're not comfortable with them. The fact that you're able to go out and do that and really engage with joy toward individuals that don't know you, I take my hat off to you for it because that is not in any way or circumstance easy. For me, speaks about the beauty of you as a person because here's the thing. When you go on a site like that, you're there for one of three reasons. You're either there to get intimacy give money for intimacy or actually build genuine connections in a place where it would largely not be possible. To be able to withstand the pressure of need versus want versus the actual people wanting to get to know you, that's a juggling act and a half.
It is.
So and also to find your body confidence and inner and outer beauty throughout the whole time you're streaming, that's an Everest climb in terms of mental health and body confidence and emotional resonance in terms of being able to do all that.
I need more people out there like you that are willing to chat to us while we're doing our shows and keep it alive rather than just expecting us to physically give something. I had a look at your website and your bio, and it says that you're a movie critic. So tell us a bit more about that.
Because I couldn't go out and play like other children, movies were my main escape. So
Yeah.
it started with the #1 grossing independent film of all time up until like 10 years ago, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it grew from there. Just watching Disney movies, of course, obviously, as a kid. And then from that to like, oh gosh, Fievel Goes West, True Friend, Roger Rabbit. Little Giants, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Fox and the Hound, Robin Hood, all those Disney classics.
I
And
think
then
you'd be
moved up.
great at trivia, Chika.
Well,
Would you like to mention your
no.
website name?
Sure. It's www.wheelchairwatcher.com. I had the great honor of going to the both the Chicago International Film Festival in 2023 and the St. Louis International Film Festival.
Oh,
So
wow.
all those new reviews are on the website, as well as a critic screening I went to in December for a movie called, if I can remember the name of it, Migration.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yes,
So,
yeah, I've seen it. Oh, yeah, the duck one. Look good.
Yes, mhm.
so
It was hilarious.
how long have
See
you
it.
been doing that website for, Chika?
Oh, since 2009.
Yeah, so a long time. So you eventually just thought this is something I can do in my home. I can do it without, too many challenges. And this is something I love.
Yeah, I mean that it was really born from what do I feel about this movie and what could people take away from it that they would find interesting or involving.
Yeah, and I think you do that exceptionally well, to be honest.
Yeah, the few reviews, the ones I went through and read on there, are very in depth and good. Good to fill you in on what's actually going on. So hopefully people will go out there and have a look and take your views on it.
What are your plans for that website? Do you plan on developing it any further, or just
Well, I just recently, as of last year, started a different company, a travel company, called Accessible Escapes, wherein I would be blogging about places that I've traveled to and the accessibility and the challenges that I face when I go to different cities.
That's great.
Yeah, it's excellent. So I remember you saying that before. So
So we're building that out now. It's not been fully created yet, but we're building that out now for a rollout maybe mid-February would be my guess. And here's the thing. I'm gonna say this on the record. I hate to travel because I'm always freaked out about traffic and whether things will be accessible. But I know that the greater good is if people know that different hotels have great hotel rooms that are fully accessible for them,
Yeah.
then that gives them another safe haven like I didn't have growing up.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a huge need because I know we've travelled around. It's finding just like I said, just to find a toilet or somewhere you can get out and walk we don't have the traffic and the people you guys have got. It's certainly on. One thing I did find, Google's got a good worldwide toilet locator, which is odd. Which is very
Yeah,
yeah.
that is amazing that they have that. But yeah, I have seen that, and it is profoundly amazing. I just wish they would do that for the major cities, not just toilets, but just
Yeah,
sites that
just actual places to go. So I've found over here, I don't know, I'm assuming it's the same over there. One of the hotel booking joints sites have actually started to list now accessibility for the rooms and what's in there, like rails and rolling showers and this type of gear, which just wasn't there 12 months ago. When we were doing there, they weren't there. And there's only one site that's doing it. It's not very accurate, which is where we need the guys like you and a few of the places over here where they actually detail what they're doing.
Yeah. So
what's there.
So in doing that so far, what has been the most accessible place that you've traveled to so far that you've found?
Well, I've only traveled to two, so I can only name one of the two.
Okay.
The hotel I stayed in Chicago was absolutely exceptional. I've never been in a hotel.
Yay, Chicago!
Yeah, it's AC Hotels is the brand. It's a Marriott brand. But I would say that, you know, you can comfortably fit a manual wheelchair in there, and the bathtub was at the right height for you to get in, and there were grab bars everywhere, for you to be able to, you know, lower yourself in your own way. So I mean that
So
was lovely,
basically
and
an accessible bath. We haven't got anything like that over here, and I haven't had a bath since I was 5, and that would be amazing. Seriously.
so wait, does that mean you just have all the fun in the hot tubs then?
No, just showers.
Oh man, that's
Shower sex is good. Anyway, I'm digressing.
well, I mean it's Cookie, so it's gonna be amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, back to you. Yeah, so it was a place in Chicago, and so it was basically the standout was the bathroom for you.
Yeah, it was very easy to navigate and to use without any real struggles, including what I think is the number one struggle when you go to a hotel,
Mm-hmm.
the sink,
The what?
the bathroom sink,
Oh, the bathroom sink.
because
Right.
you can never get under those.
Yes. I know. And your knees are kind of meeting that, and you kind of reach forward to try and, you know, brush your teeth and whatever, and you can't because you're like, your knees is, you can't get it. Yeah, I get it. You can't
Yeah.
get underneath it, and it's a struggle. So you've got to go sideways or some weird angle.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
angles, man. Angles
Yeah.
are everything.
The angles can be great, but angles can also be a bloody challenge.
Well, the biggest ones I've found
Absolutely.
here, they put in the bloody glass shower screens. This doesn't work with wheelchairs.
Not only that, but the steel bar to get that you have to lift your leg past.
Yes, yes.
The little metal framing that they put on the edge of the shower before you get in.
And that does make me wonder, do they consult people with access needs when they come up with these designs of bathrooms? I don't think they do, but yeah. Maybe.
No, they don't. They rely on the ADA laws that were made in 1986 or 85.
Yeah. You know what, Chika, that could be another career move for you. I think it'd be perfect.
I mean, it's been suggested, but I'd feel much more like a health inspector at that point, and I don't want to lose the journey of, you know, you're going to your first real concert fest, and you're wondering, okay, what bathrooms are nearby? What restaurants should I go to that would be able to fit my chair? And if
you want to make it a nice, smooth experience to actually enjoy it. Yes,
yeah, you want to be able to
body.
find that straight line amidst all the bad curves and speed bumps. When you go to a film festival or a music concert and you don't see anybody your own age in a wheelchair really enjoying the music, you wonder, where are they all? Oh crap, it wasn't marketed with them in mind. There's no little small paragraph that says the venue is accessible, and if you need more support, here's a person you can contact.
And we're not even talking about specifically physical disabilities, but even the invisible ones. Yeah, just access for everybody, regardless of who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I think it is very much needed. I mean, there's a club around near where I am, and it's the first one that's fully states that they are fully accessible for anyone with any need. And they've got a whole section of their website stating what they have available for any either visual or non-visual ability need. So yeah, I think that's
That is extraordinary.
yeah. And it's only a
Have you,
small area in that particular town. So I'm surprised that they've actually got that. They need that in bigger
have you
cities.
have you been to that club yet or no?
I have, yeah. They are very, very good.
So it was a blast then?
Yeah, as soon as I saw their website, I was like, I have to organize to go, so I did. And yeah, they didn't disappoint in that front. So
Lovely. For people who have physical disabilities, it's really hard to network and find people that are in your similar situation because we don't like to talk about it.
no, exactly. No one wants to talk about it. It's the elephant in the room, but nobody wants to talk about it.
They are the people who are holding us down silent, but we ourselves are like, they're not going to hear us anyway, no matter how loud we are.
And minority communities that aren't really minority communities. The more we talk about these things, the more awareness is going to be raised. And
The awareness is so important. You know, there weren't really many mentors.
did you have one?
I had a TV show. The cheese, okay. The cheese on this one is real, and by cheese I mean the show itself is cheesy,
Yeah, yeah.
but I can't express what it meant to me as a person in a wheelchair with who happened to be African American, to see yourself represented on screen,
Ah,
um,
yeah.
was a gift among gifts. And I tell you what, my goal before I leave this earth, is to have a phone call with the lead actor in that show, because as a 7, 8-year-old kid, it meant the world to me.
That back in those days, a lot of people were portraying ably diverse people because we weren't employed as performers. They would just get a normal, able-bodied person to play an ably diverse person, which and now these days, and hopefully for you guys over there, that is changing now.
I mean, you're gonna find this to be a shocking thing that I know. But I was watching Bump recently
Yes,
on Stan,
yes, yes.
and they hire, do you know this or no?
I love Bump. Yes, it's a great show. Yeah,
They hired somebody I know, like somebody who went to my school, to be in Bump
there you
this year.
go. Wow.
Dylan Alcott.
Hey, I love Dill. Yeah. Hi, Dylan.
Dylan is the best.
Yeah,
Dylan is the best.
Surprised I didn't realise he'd gone to school over there.
Yeah, he was part of our, I believe was it tennis?
Yeah.
yes,
It was,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was tennis.
He's pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
I
Hi, Dylan. If
Dylan,
you're watching, please sponsor my show. Thank you.
yeah, Dylan is one of the funniest human beings. I always had a laugh when I was around Dylan. We didn't like hang out a lot, but when we did see each other, because we both were in the same uh fitness center, because the university has its own physical therapy center, because
Yeah.
the wheelchair athletes would train in that space, just as much as the people who have other physical challenges.
There you go.
So we would cross paths on a semi fair basis.
Yeah, wow.
Oh.
And so to see him end up in Bump, a
Mm.
show that I love, was a real gift.
It's
Believe me, when I found out, I was shocked. I was like, yes, please. Messaged him on Facebook to say that I was so thrilled about him being in Bump. And I'm glad that it's finally getting to that point. And I know that you joined me in the chorus of saying it took too dang on long. There have been, and I don't. I'm not happy about this. There have been other attempts at highlighting people with disabilities in the lead.
Yeah, we're taking a lot of the ones that are very high profile, like My Left Foot and type of things. They're not run of the mill.
Hey, Chick, actually, what did you think of Motherfoot?
I've never seen it, but I watched the trailer and I said, not doing it.
It's not pleasant. Yeah.
I thought it was actually really, really well done, and I can appreciate and understand and totally respect why you wouldn't.
I mean, here's my one gripe with this. And it's a very simple gripe, having only seen the trailer. If you're gonna spend time being a person with cerebral palsy, with a specific type of cerebral palsy, might I add, show a lot more of how that person adapts. At a certain point when I was watching the trailer, I was like, this feels like a Hallmark greeting card rather than a movie.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Like a Lifetime special rather than an actual movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, Daniel Day-Lewis got an Oscar for that. Because again, it was so convincing. And I feel like Left Foot becomes a bit of a pity party for that disability and doesn't accurately represent everyone. It just actively represents the most severe case of that disability.
Yeah.
And that's what I find problematic. And I don't disagree with you. I really don't. I just think that there are better ways of having that conversation. Like, this exists, but here's what we're doing to make it better.
It is tough, especially with CP as well, because none of us are one and the same. So every individual with CP is slightly different. And of course, as you know, there's various severities and abilities throughout that. It's a massive umbrella to be able to portray.
And for me, I saw a movie several years ago now, called 37 Seconds, and it's a film from Japan about a girl with cerebral palsy who is an artist but doesn't really ever get the respect she deserves, and the journey she goes on because of it.
Yeah.
It's a great representation of CP and the family dynamics within having CP and the struggles you face and how you overcome them.
Right. Well, after this podcast, that will be my homework.
Be aware you're gonna need tissues.
Most people would, but I'm a bit of a hard bitch, so we'll see how we go. But yes, thank you for that.
Oh, trust me, you're not gonna see it coming. As much as I believe you about that, there are two things within that movie that are just gonna wallop you over the face. Like, what? What am I supposed to do now that I know this information?
Yeah. Okay. I'm very intrigued about this, so thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And I will say, Mel, because I know you well.
Yeah, oh dear.
There's definitely some spicy stuff in there.
Oh, good. I was hoping there'd be like some boobs or some sex in there that I can.
Oh, well, there's some boobs. There's some boobs.
You wouldn't have recommended it if there wasn't any boobs, right?
I mean, I would have, because how often do we get representation?
True, true, true. Well, there you go. Cookie and I really hope you enjoyed our chat with Chike today. He's an amazing young man who we all quite frankly learn a lot from, whether we are ably diverse or not. You can check out his website at wheelchairwatcher.com for all his latest film reviews and a whole lot more. In the meantime, I'm going to go and watch 37 Seconds, and I hope you will too. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and remember to connect with us on our socials and our Patreon. We'd love to hear from you, and also with your feedback and ideas. Join us next time on the Ably Diverse Chronicles.